Bruce is a renegade Taoist priest. He was not by any means somebody who was going to be a traditional follower, but he was into spirituality. He believed seriously in right and wrong, and he had his own ideas of what that was about, and it was heavily influenced by Taoism. He was, but you couldn't put him in that little box. He was beyond all of that.
Chinese at that time would not even teach another Oriental because they wanted the art strictly for Chinese. And Bruce, because he grew up in a Western education, didn't see it that way. He thought everybody should be worthy. He once told me, he says, he's being sarcastic, he says, you think the Chinese are the only ones who are virtuous and have high standard morality? He says, you mean the other races don't have it? He says, and they said, that's BS. So he did a lot. He set my thinking. I was so happy because I said, oh, here's a Chinese that will teach another 9 Chinese.
Lee loudly criticizes the more traditional forms of Chinese Kung Fu, referring to these styles as a classical mess, and boasts, to me, 99% of the whole business of Oriental self-defense is baloney. It looks good, but it doesn't work. The Chinese martial arts community is furious. They send a challenger, hoping to disgrace him.
He had come into Bruce Lee's school in Chinatown, Oakland. And he says, I'm sent here by the Chinese Kung Fu community. And he said, you're to close your school down because we don't want you teaching non-Chinese. And Bruce Lee told him, he says, I'll teach anybody who I want to teach. So what it came down to is that he'd come in, he said, well, if you beat me, then you can teach non-Chinese. But if I beat you, you got to close your school down. He could imitate people like Walcott, Jersey Joe Walcott. He could imitate. So he really liked Muhammad Ali because of the liveliness of the footwork.
Yeah, Bruce and I would talk about Muhammad Ali, and Bruce thought that his hand speed and his foot speed put him in another class, somebody that weighed 220 pounds, 215, 220 pounds. I think Bruce's racial makeup made him open up to more than one concept as far as how to live his life, and it crept into his art. Jeet Kune Do is eclectic, absolutely. Jeet Kune Do is American. It's not Asian. It's American. It's an eclectic compilation of a lot of different fighting styles, and I think in that it's uniquely American, although it borrows heavily from Asian fighting arts.
Well, Jeet Kune Do is translated into the way of the intercepting fist. Okay, Jeet means the intercept or stop. Kune means the fist. Do means the way.
And really, that's what he's trying to say. You have to really research your own experience. You have to really absorb what is useful for you and reject what is not useful for you. But don't reject it unless you research it.
I was very fortunate in that I had no martial arts training before I met Bruce, just some boxing that my dad had taught me. So I didn't have a bias, and I was open to whatever as long as it worked. And everything that Bruce taught me worked.
I've never seen any man really pound to pound anybody stronger than him. He does, push-up, 2-finger push-ups. I cannot do it 4, although I do 1,000 push-ups with this, but I cannot do it with my finger.
He was, although about 5'8", his reach was that of a 6-footer. He had very long arms for a person 5'8".
And then you can add to that incredible athletic skills, balance, hand speed, foot speed, great eye-hand coordination, great timing. All of that driven by a very intense will and instinct.
He had the ability to say, well, I'm arrogant, but I'll show you why. There's a reason for it. And it was it was kind of a cockiness, the cockiness that I think all Americans kind of have inside of them, you know, to say, well, I can do it. I'm
He's
good.
probably the most dynamic person I've ever met in my life. I mean, he could go from 0 to 140 miles an hour in no time at all. Pow! And he'd be gone.
He did the same thing to me that he did to James Coburn. What he did was he has this 1-inch punch. He straightens out his arm like this, places it against your chest, and then by some strange action, he just kind of twitches, and you go flying back about 6 feet. I hit the wall and fell off of the wall, fell down, and I thought to myself, what in the hell happened to me? How in the hell did I go flying back 6 feet, hit the wall, fall off, and fall down on the ground? I'm the Pan American gold medalist for judo. How could this happen?
I use hands to hold my fellow man. I use hands to help with what I can. But when I face an unjust injury, then I'll change my hands into fists of fury. I use hands to show my friendliness. I use hands to give a kind caress. But when a man slaughters his fellow man, then I'll change my hands into fists of fury.